I wasn't technically home alone. My friend was spending the night at my house, while our parents stayed the night at a resort about an hour away. I say technically because she fell asleep around 11 p.m. I was 15 at the time, she was 14. I was still up, watching some low-budget sci-fi movies on TV and eating cold pizza. As it neared 1 a.m., I started getting a really weird feeling. I couldn't put my finger on it, it just felt uncomfortable. I ignored it for a while until it got unbearable, and I realized that it felt like someone was watching me. My dad had been fixing some windows around the house during the day and had removed a bunch of blinds, making for an obstructed view into the house. But we lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood at the time, so no one thought anything of it. I got up to walk around, trying to take my mind off what I was feeling, but as I neared the window on the other side of the living room, where I'd been sitting all night and my friend was sleeping, I saw something weird on the glass, a foggy spot, maybe 6 inches in diameter. It was getting bigger, then shrinking, then growing again, every second. At the time, I was so wired with paranoia that I couldn't figure out what it was. I put my face just an inch from the window, studying it, and called out for my friend. I told her to hit the switch for the security lights. The foggy spot was breath, and I was staring into a man's face, just on the other side of the glass, only centimeters away from it. My friend ran into the kitchen, screaming, while I stumbled backwards in shock. I scrambled for my phone and called my parents, and grabbed the knife still on the coffee table from dinner and held it up in shaking hand. He pressed his palm against the window, still staring at me, and then disappeared into the dark. My neighbors, shotguns in hand, showed up in less than 2 minutes. My parents had called them, and stayed with us until our parents arrived. No one found anything of the man except for footsteps in the garden bed. We moved a few months later. This happened a few months before when I arrived back at my hostel at the end of our second semester break. The rest of my housemates hadn't arrived yet, so I had to spend the night alone in the house. While I was unpacking my luggage after almost a day of traveling from Sabah to Kuala Lumpur, I heard fingers tapping on the bedroom door from outside. I thought one of my housemates had arrived home. I was ecstatic. I finally have a friend to keep me company. I don't have to sleep alone at that house. But then I looked under the small space at the bottom of the door. The light was on the outside, but there was no sign of someone's shadow anywhere. Maybe it was just a bug making the tapping sounds, like the Death Watch beetle. But this is Kuala Lumpur, a big, modern city. Not much trees or any vegetation for that matter that could be home for any type of bugs. Bugs that do those tapping sounds on wooden walls do not exist here since the hostel is relatively new. I ignored it and continued unpacking, but then another tapping occurred, and this time it was followed by the fingernails quickly sliding on the door downwards. I got irritated, stood up, stomped over the door, and opened it, only to find out nothing. After I took my shower, I was in the living room on my laptop, when suddenly I heard the distinctive screeching noise of the curtains being pulled roughly. I didn't know which room the curtains were pulled in, so I decided to check all the bedrooms if any of my housemates had arrived while I was in the shower. I found none. I returned to my laptop and continued my work. A few minutes after that, I heard a distant heavy breathing that came from the area near the front door of our house. The door was behind me towards the left, and I can hear the breathing as if someone was there, breathing slowly, deeply, as if someone was doing some breathing exercises. But no one was there. The rest of my housemates faced worse what I did. They saw someone who looked like me passing by their doorway heading towards my room, but at that time I wasn't in the house. Some had sleep paralysis almost every night. Another heard heavy breathing from another bed. The rest heard furniture being dragged around in the living room. A mirror was thrown across the room and landed with a crash when no one was in there. They heard the shower being turned on, the toilet flushed, and the tap turned on when no one was in the bathroom. Pretty creepy house, I have to say. My whole family left me and my 9-year-old nephew Jay at home and went out of the city for a day. My mom strictly told me not to open the door no matter who comes. Even if it's someone you know, keep the door closed, she said. I thought, what would go wrong and why she's making a fuss? I was around 17 at that time, and I had a huge family, so at least there's someone elder always at home, if not everybody except for that day. It's just me and Jay. I was quite excited as I felt like a grown-up with the responsibilities to take care of my little nephew. I was making both of us breakfast, and just to be that extra, I also made both of us tea. We don't drink tea, by the way. I heard the doorbell. Nobody was supposed to come. Then who is at the door? I wondered. I told Jay not to go near the door. I peeked over and saw a man, not very old. The door had 2 glass windows on each side, so people from outside could actually see who's inside. I wanted that person to understand nobody was home, so that he leaves. I stood there like a statue so he doesn't see me, but suddenly he started indicating me with his hands to open the door. I was like, shit, he saw me. I then see he was carrying a bunch of wires in his hand. I asked him what does he want. He said he was here to repair the television cable of this area. I didn't tell him we were home alone. I told him to come tomorrow. He said he needed to get this work done today because a lot of people in my area were having some kind of network problem. I didn't talk to him anymore and left. I was actually keeping an eye on him from far away. No, he kept on ringing the bell. So many things were going inside of my head. What if he breaks the windows? Where is my phone? If he does break, then which room should we run to? Are all the back doors closed? Why is he carrying so many wires? Does he already know we're home alone? I called my mom and told her what was going on. The damn network was poor and I didn't know if she understood me clearly. I only heard her say not to open the door at any cost or go near it. I did just that, and after 10 to 15 minutes he left, but it felt like forever. I was scared to death, and he ruined all my excitement about being home alone.